6.2, define activities. Define activities is the process of identifying and documenting the specific actions to be performed to produce the project deliverables. The key benefit of this process is that it decomposes work packages into scheduled activities that provide a basis for estimating, scheduling, executing, monitoring and controlling the project work. This process is performed throughout the project, as from PMBOK Guide page 183. Something that I will remind you about often on this course is that when managing a project, even if you're using a project methodology, project activities are not done as a single sequence from start to the end of the project, of course. Many project activities will overlap or will be done repeatedly and will be tailored to suit the project and the project environment. An example of that occurs in this process. There's not a lot to it really in terms of complexity. Cast your mind back to creating the work breakdown structure in scope management. You decompose the project deliverables down to work packages and then enter the details into the work breakdown structure dictionary. I said at the time that there are no activities on the work breakdown structure, just deliverables. This process, which is within project schedule management, is where we decompose work packages down to activities. The activity list, which is an add-on for the work breakdown structure. This might give you the wrong impression that we built a work breakdown structure as you'd build the foundation of a house, and when the foundation is built, then we build the activity list like the house being built on the foundation. You can do that, and you probably will do on very small projects, but in most projects these processes will overlap. The normal procedure is that you will be decomposing work packages into activities before you have decomposed all of the work down to work package level. In effect, you will be hopping between project scope management and project schedule management without even realising it. Now let's have a look at the activities in this process. Number one is the project management plan. And the components we are interested in this process are the schedule management plan. Schedule management plan defines the schedule methodology, the duration of waves or rolling wave planning, and the level of detail necessary to manage work. You need enough detail so the team can understand how to estimate the work involved. What are rolling waves? What do they have to do with project management? I will explain when we get to the tools and techniques. Scope baseline. The project work breakdown structure, deliverables, constraints and assumptions documented in the scope baseline are considered explicitly while defining activities. Do you remember what the scope baseline is? See if you can remember it before I can tell you. The scope baseline is not just a single plan, it is a set of 3 plans. The scope statement baseline, the work breakdown structure baseline, and the work breakdown structure dictionary baseline. And what is a baseline? It is a plan which has been agreed and authorised. How do you change a baseline? By submitting a change request to the change control system. Where do baselines live? They live in the project management plan. Input number 2, enterprise environmental factors. Enterprise environmental factors that influence the defined activities process include organisational cultures and structures. Have you noticed how often organisational cultures and structures is measured as an input? And have you noticed in real projects how often you have to allow for organisational cultures and structure? Publish commercial information from commercial databases. You may seldom use commercial databases, but there's quite common in mature areas such as oil and gas, construction and military, for example. If you are building a wall, a road or a roof, this has been done billions of times before, and many organisations have recorded the information which they can then sell. And so if you need to do a similar activity on your project, you can save time and increase accuracy by using these tables. Project Management Information System. The PMBOK Guide never uses the name of commercial software applications, nor are they assumed in questions that you're using a particular software application. It's whatever your organisation uses, so you're not going to hear questions about Microsoft Project or Primavera or anything like that. Organisational process assets. The organisational process assets that can influence the defined activities process include lessons learned repository, containing historical information regarding activity lists used in previous similar projects. You've noticed that lessons learned is a common input to most processes because it helps you to avoid reinventing the wheel or repeating early mistakes. It also helps you avoid being the subject of the old saying, The only thing that some people learn from history is that they do not learn anything from history. Standardized processes. Over time, your organization will have built up standardized ways of performing these tasks, and these will be promoted by the project management office if there is one. If you have joined a new company, do not assume that someone will tell you all about the standard processes and the ground rules, but expect someone to complain to you if you don't follow them. Likewise, don't assume that the procedures that you used in your previous project work will be fine to use here. Always ask. You will be going through the organizational process. Next one. Templates that contain a standard activity list or a portion of an activity list from a previous project, just the same as for the lessons learned repository. Learn from what people have done before. Templates that contain a standard activity list or a portion of an activity list from a previous project, just the same as for the lessons learned repository. Learn from what people have done before. Pick up an activity list from a previous similar project and modify it, but please make sure that A, it was a similar project, and B, you remove the bits and pieces that don't actually apply to this project, because it doesn't look good if you're asked to deliver a house with 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and you deliver a house with 4 bedrooms and 2 suspension bridges. Existing formal and informal activity planning related activities, procedures and guidelines, such as the scheduling methodology that are considered in developing the activity definitions. Define activities, tools and techniques. Number 1, can you guess what this is? It's expert judgment. Expertise should be considered from individuals or groups with specialised knowledge of similar past projects and the work being performed. That one's quite simple. Number 2, decomposition. It's a horrible sounding word. Decomposition is a technique used for dividing and subdividing the project scope and project deliverables into smaller, more manageable parts. We saw this technique before when creating the work breakdown structure. Activities represent the effort needed to complete a work package. Did you notice the difference between effort and duration? Effort is the number of work units that the activity will require, and duration is the span between the start and the end of the activity. These may sound similar, but imagine an activity that requires 2 work hours, but the first hour's work is done on Monday and the second is done on the Friday of the same week. The effort, which we will usually call the level of effort, is 2 hours, but the duration is 1 week. The define activities process defines the final outputs as activities rather than deliverables, as done in the create work breakdown structure process. The activity list, work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary can be developed either sequentially or concurrently with the work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary used as the basis of the development for the final activity list. I mentioned this before at the start of a lesson. Each work package within the work breakdown structure is decomposed into the activities required to produce the work package deliverables. In case you haven't noticed yet, the PMBOK guide always says activities, never tasks, and you will find it's the same on the exam. Involving team members in the decomposition can lead to better and more accurate results, rather than just dependent on the project manager. Tools and techniques number 3, rolling way of planning. Rolling way of planning is an iterative planning technique in which the work to be accomplished in the near term is planned in detail, while work further in the future is planned at a higher level. It is a form of progressive elaboration to work packages, planning packages, and release planning when using an agile or waterfall approach. Therefore, work can exist at various levels of detail depending on where you are within the project lifecycle. During early strategic planning, when information is less defined, work packages may be decomposed to a known level of detail. As more is known about the upcoming events in the near future, work packages can be decomposed into activities. I mentioned rolling wave earlier. If you think back to work breakdown structure, we began by breaking the project into the main deliverables, which are called control accounts. We then decomposed the control accounts into planning packages. The planning packages may be decomposed into lower level planning packages until we arrive at work packages. But with Rolling Wave, we don't decompose all planning packages to work packages before we begin to proceed with the project. Basically, you just park some planning packages in the work breakdown structure and don't decompose them until closer to the time when you're going to need them. An example of this could be when you're building a house, you decompose a control account for the foundation down to work packages, then decompose your work packages to activities, then complete schedule and start work on building the foundation. When the foundation has been built, you can start decomposing other planning packages. Judging techniques number 4, meetings. Meetings may be face-to-face, virtual, formal or informal. Meetings may be held with team members or subject matter experts to define the activities needed to complete the work. The purpose of these meetings is to decompose work packages into the activities to deliver them. And so you need to make sure you have experts who actually have a good understanding of the technology. Question: who is the best person to work out what activities will be required? Answer: the person who will actually be doing the work or who has done similar work. I was managing a project a few years ago and I needed some Java programming to be done. So I went to the senior Java programmer, gave him a specification and asked him to have his team work out a breakdown of what would be required to deliver the work package. A new member of the team who had recently transferred from another branch of the organisation was really angry with me and said in front of the others, "Why are you asking him? You're the project manager. It's up to you to tell him what he needs to do." I said I'm not an expert in Java and so I couldn't tell step by step what had to be done. I just understand it at a high level, but these team members do it all day, every day, and they can easily work it out. Then she stormed into the boss's office and was shouting about me being a failure as a project manager, but the boss said, "That's not a project manager's job. Jim is 100% correct. The person who does the work is the only one who can reliably say exactly what needs to be done." Define activities outputs. Number 1, activity list. The activity list includes the scheduled activities required on the project, or at least it will do. If you're using a Rolling Wave or Agile, it may be quite late in the project before the entire activity list has been finalised because your planning horizon will be small as you're decomposing work packages throughout much of the project. The activity list includes an activity identifier and a scope of work description for each activity in sufficient detail to ensure the project team members understand what work is required to be completed. Output number 2, activity attributes. Activity attributes extend the description of the activity by identifying multiple components associated with each activity. The components for each activity evolve over time. During the initial stages of the project, they include the unique identifier, the work breakdown structure ID, and activity label or name. When completed, they may include activity descriptions, predecessor activities, successor activities, logical relationships, leads and lags, resource requirements, imposed dates, constraints, and assumptions. Activity attributes can be used to identify the place where the work has to be performed, the project calendar the activity is assigned to, and the type of effort involved. Activity attributes are used for schedule development and for selecting, ordering and sorting the planned scheduled activities in various ways within reports, and so obviously you expect to see them at the examination a couple of times. Output number 3, the milestone list. A milestone is a significant point or event in a project. A milestone list identifies all project milestones and indicates whether the milestone is mandatory, such as those required by contract, or optional, such as those based on historical information. Milestones have 0 duration because they are binary. That's actually a very important point. That means that they're either complete or not complete. There's no in-between value. For example, if you have a milestone, foundation laid, then either it is complete or it's not. If the foundation is 10% laid, 50% laid, or 99% laid, it is still incomplete. And because milestones take 0 time, they also consume 0 resources. Some software applications, which I shall mention, allow you to assign time to resources on milestones. but that makes no sense. But back to the PMBOK guide version of milestones. As they are zero time, they consume zero resources. This leads to an interesting question on the exam, which could be similar to question: is a kick-off meeting a valid milestone? A, yes, because it is an important event that needs planning. B, no, projects are serious endeavours and she shouldn't be associated with such fun events. Yes, because creating the project charter is dependent upon the completion of a kick-off party. D, no, because a kick-off meeting requires time and resources. You've probably guessed by now that the correct answer is D, no, because a kick-off party meeting requires time and resources. If you want to make it into a milestone, simply change the title to Kick-Off Party Held, and now it can be either one of two values, incomplete or complete. Output number 4, change requests. Once a project has been baselined, the progressive elaboration of deliverables into activities may reveal work that was not initially part of the project baselines. In plain English, we realise down the track we've missed a deliverable or part of one in the earlier stages, and now we can raise a change request for processing through Perform Integrated Change Control process. Output number 5, project management plan updates. Any change to the project management plan goes to the organisational change control process via a change request. Components that may require a change request for the project management plan include schedule baseline. Throughout the project, work packages are progressively elaborated into activities. This process may reveal work which is not part of the initial schedule baseline, necessitating a change to delivery dates or other significant schedule milestones that are part of the schedule baseline. Cost baseline. Changes to the cost baseline are incorporated in response to approved changes in scheduled activities. And so we've just completed another milestone. We have finished define activities. Next lesson is 6.3, sequence activities. Guess what I'm going to say next? Please read the corresponding chapter in the PMBOK guide before watching the video. Thank you.